Welcome to the LAFFFF Channel Fishing Podcast. Here on the fly fishing segments, guys, I'm going to be coming at y'all from the Rowdy Trout Ranch. With me, I got Todd Clough, who brings 37 years of fly fishing guiding experience to the table, and his brother Mike Clough, who has 47 years of experience working for the Orvis Fly Fishing Company. Now, that's a whole lot of knowledge I can tap into, and I'm fishing too, guys. So strap up your boots and grab your waders, y'all. It's finna get deep, and we finna get fishing. Let's do this.
Shit.
What's up, LAFFFF Channel fans? It's Rocco talking to the Rockstar, and today I'm going to start my fly fishing podcast episode. I have the advantage and the opportunity to actually get to, I've known Todd Clough for over 15 years, Todd? 20 years?
20.
At least, and now I have been able to have the opportunity to meet his brother Mike, and between them both, I have about 100 years of experience. So today, I want you guys to get to know them a little bit more. I want them to talk about their experiences, their favorite times, and maybe get into what we're going to be getting into on this podcast. So, Todd, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and let us know a little bit more about yourself.
Todd Clough. Live up at a place called Rowdy Trout Ranch. My brother lives in the cabin next to me. Been fly fishing since I was about 10, and I learned from my older brother Mike. I think I remember the story of him finding a bamboo rod somewhere, in a basement or somewhere, and he got into it. And of course, as an older brother, I would follow him around and do whatever I can, and pretty soon got rid of the push button reel rod and started using a fly rod.
Okay, so both you guys have been on a fly rod since you guys were youngsters, huh?
Since the cave.
Okay, all right. Mike, what got you started on it?
Well, I Field and Stream magazine, and we grew up in a fishing family. We lived on a lake, or lived within a few blocks of the lake, Big Lake, Storm Lake, Iowa. And so the whole family fished.
Is that here in Colorado or
Iowa? Storm Lake, Iowa.
Oh, okay.
And so the whole family fished. Our grandparents lived right on the lake. And we spent, in the summer, every weekend with all the other cousins and stuff. And my grandfather was an okay fisherman. My grandmother was an immense fisherman.
It was the grandmother?
And she did it the most. She would set lines out at night, and my father wired up a buzzer that when one of the rods moved, she would get up, call my dad, and they'd go land a catfish.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, it was often wrapped around the dock 20 times.
Yeah, so we grew up in it, and then fly fishing through Field and Stream magazine just caught my interest, and I kind of remember something about the rod, but I mainly remember tying flies on bait hooks with pillow feathers to try to match what was in the magazine. And then we took family vacations in the mountains.
So was it more fly tying that kind of got you started into it
I
at
would
first? Or
say I
did
did
your
that
interest,
first.
or was it more?
Yeah, that got my interest. And then when we would go up to the mountains, we'd go by Marble, Colorado, and there was the Upper Crystal right there, and a few ponds and stuff. Brook trout.
To this day, I remember my first fish on a fly rod was on the Crystal in Marble.
Where's that? In Marble.
Yeah,
I haven't been there yet. That's one place
beautiful.
I haven't fished yet.
Under
So.
Beautiful place in the state.
And we moved, I was in either kindergarten or first grade when we moved to Colorado. And we lived out near Broomfield. And there were ponds, and Mike was always going out to ponds, Lake 27, which is still there. It's surrounded by a housing development now.
Lake 27.
But when we were kids, we would just walk out through these fields and catch bluegills, and the lake up by the golf course, which used to be the Broomfield Country Club. I think it's Eagle Trace or something now. But we used to go fish there all the time.
All right.
Yeah, actually, Lake 27 was like a 2-mile walk for us, and now it's part of Broomfield. It's surrounded.
Yeah. Okay.
my
So now it's like in
house
the middle of it.
Now it's like in the middle. It really is. It's like in the middle of it. But it was full of bullheads.
Catfish.
Bullheads are a little catfish.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can catch them pretty easy. So that was.
And then how did it evolve from there? Like, kind of take me through your guys' journey from there, kind of until now. I mean, where did it take you guys? Where did it bring you guys back together, separate?
You know, I love to fish still anyway. If it's, you know, we ice fish here.
Yeah.
You're taking
that
the
was a blast. That was a blast.
I
That was a blast.
love fishing in general, and I'm not a snob. I'll throw.
Well, I mean, what? Through like, how would you put it? Throughout your years, I mean, what have you done? What's your favorite spots? What's your favorite memories and stuff like that? Take me through some of your memories and just through some of your experience, because, like I said, through the both of these guys, there's at least 80, 90 years of experience here. So I want to hear some of that experience. That's what I want to hear. I mean, I want to hear some of the stories. I want to hear, you know, who you guys worked for, people you guided and stuff like that. I think that's very interesting to me, and it tells a lot about you guys, and that's kind of what I want to hear.
Okay, before we do anything else, we've got one more introduction to do.
Bucky.
This is the 2-year, 10-month-old Bucky, who the Neelys think they own this ranch, but Bucky actually owns this ranch.
He loves to fish too. He really does.
God,
He really
he
does.
See, I think it all comes down to wanting to catch fish. There's an old adage, it's been around hundreds of years, that when you first start fishing, you just want to catch fish, and then you want to catch a lot of fish. Then you want to catch really big fish. And then fly fishing annals, it's about catching a really big fish on a tiny fly. And then you just get to the point where I am, and I think Mike is, you just want to catch fish. You know, I mean, I still love bluegills.
Oh, bluegills are some of my favorite fish. I mean, they are my favorite. I sit down. I've probably been working on my 5 rod more than I have on my 8-ray rod, because my bluegills are starting to get top rod and stuff like that. So I definitely love hitting those.
Because we're in Colorado, I think we spend most of our time fly fishing. And the reason for that is it's a great way to catch fish. I mean, you're talking the river.
Yeah.
90% of a fish's diet is subsurface, and so if you don't want to get good at nymph fishing, you know, you don't want to get all that good at fishing, I think, at fly fishing. I hear clients say to me, well, I only dry fly fish. And that's like saying I'm a golfer and I only putt. No, there's other parts of the game, right? And that's what's great about fly fishing is you can fish the nymphs on the bottom, you can fish, you know, try to imitate the bait fish with streamer fishing, the emerger, the dry fly. All that in the fly rod. So why I spend 99% of my time with the fly rod in my hand is because it's really an incredibly effective way to especially catch trout. Now, we've both been fortunate enough to do a lot of bass fishing and pike fishing and saltwater fishing. And for certain species of salt, like the tarpon and the bonefish and the permit and stuff, they like to eat things you can really imitate well with the fly rod too, crab and shrimp. So it's just a really effective way to catch fish. That doesn't mean that throwing bass bugs and all that stuff, that's great too, because that can be really effective. It's about catching fish.
Generally, if you're in an environment, especially with trout, but there's times warm water fish are restricted. If their main diet at that time is insects, you're going to catch a whole lot more fish.
You just are.
You just are. You're imitating, you know, what they're eating. When you get to things like minnows, if they're feeding on stuff like that, a good streamer fisherman will be comparable to any good hard plastic.
So
Hard plastic is a great way to fish that stuff, jerk baits and stuff. But you can be as effective with a fly rod. When we get to bait, and you really need the fish bait, you can use a fly rod, but you're better off using other techniques.
Yeah.
But pretty much, in most circumstances, good fly fishing is not at a disadvantage, or actually at an advantage. Because the flies, the streamers, look much more realistic than a hard piece of plastic or wood float like this. You know, you're fishing a streamer and the feathers are undulating in the current.
Now we kind of went by a lot of stuff right there. You know, we talked about streamers, we talked about nymphs, we talked kind of threw a lot of stuff out there, and I think that's one of the things that makes fly fishing so intimidating for people, because a lot of people, you know, you talk fly fishing, and again, you do hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I just fished top water." Now, I think one of the biggest reasons that a lot of people do fish top water is because it's fucking easy. It's really easy
to see the
take, to see the grasshopper. It's really easy to match the hatch. It's really easy to say, "Hey, red ant, I'm gonna throw a red ant in the water." I love throwing red ants in bowl. I love topwater fishing. Now, what's a good way for people to start understanding and breaking down these things and try to keep it as simple so it's not so intimidating? Because I think that's one thing that really intimidates people about fly fishing. There's a lot of aspects. There's the cast, there's the bugs, there's the streamers, there's the line, there's all kinds of things. And what would you guys say is the best thing for beginners to keep in mind when they're out looking for stuff like that? Why shouldn't you be so intimidated by fly fishing?
I think the key is letting the fish to learn you. And what I mean by that is, if I look out on this pond and, you know, in a month I'll see all these rising fish. Okay, they're coming up and eating bugs on top of the surface. Well, then it's a great time to throw a dry fly. It's an adult insect, and it's come up to the top of the water to dry its wings, and then fly into the bushes, where it'll live for a day or two or three, depending on the species. It'll mate once, come back to the water, the females drop her eggs, she dies. Sounds like our brother Steve's life, but that's another story. Have sex once. No, but anyhow, that joke.
Get used to it, guys.
but that adult bug on the top and the fish are eating it, well, then that's a great time to fish a dry fly.
Yeah.
So I think a key to answer your question is understanding the bug cycle. You know, it starts with a nymph on the bottom, who lives there most of its life. Eventually, after about a year, will emerge to the surface. There's one way to fish a fly as a nymph. The emergers and carries the dry fly. It doesn't stay on the water long, just long enough to get its wings dry out to the bushes, and it comes back. So there's three ways you fish a fly right there. So as a beginner, you walk up, I see rising fish, no, what do? Fish a nymph.
Okay. So I totally get that. So basically, is what you're saying
the
is
finish of the fourth way you fish fly is the stream, and that's casting it out and swimming it back, and that's simply imitating anything in the water that will swim. Skull baby minnows, fathead minnows, crawdads. So those are the four ways you fish, and so if you understand that bug cycle and food, then you start to key in on what do I fish and why.
Okay, if that makes sense, guys. Don't be so intimidated. He basically kind of broke it down into one generic cycle, is understanding the bug cycle and the way that they live, and knowing those three styles, which was what again?
Nymph to emerger to adult, which is what we call the dry.
Okay, if you understand the way that works, it shouldn't be so intimidating to knowing what you and how you should fish. Understand those first for a beginner.
Yeah, and know that the adult flies off and the females do come back, and they'll die, dropping their eggs. You know, and know that, so you've got sort of two opportunities for the dry fly, is when they first hatch.
Okay.
And we call it the hatch because they popped up on top of the water. And when they come back.
Okay, all right.
When you look at it, just, you know, I don't know if the camera's catching. We're sitting on this lake, half the lake's frozen here in April.
So wait,
Yeah,
Opening Turkey Day, the day before Easter.
Yeah, that's right.
It's spring season. I've already got 6 miles in that I came up here to sit here with these two lovely gentlemen. They're giving me about a half hour of their time, guys, so I'm trying to soak up as much as I can, let you guys get to know them just a little bit. So
remembering all these things, there's different ways of fishing, they're somewhat seasonable. But as you were unpacking your car, or you had just pulled in, Todd and I are sitting here, the lake's half full of ice, and we saw 6 or 8 fish eating midges
on the top?
surface on top.
Okay.
So dry fly is more seasonal, but if there's open water, it can happen any time of the year. Nymph fishing, which is the most popular way to fish in Colorado, is if you've got open water, you can nymph fish.
Because the bugs are always down there.
Streamer fishing, the little minnows, you like to do that. That's if you got open water, go for it. They'll eat it all year long. So it's not just a summer, we call some of these bugs mayflies. It's not just a spring, summer thing. It's a year-round thing, and you just gotta understand the cycle. Anybody who's coming fishing this morning and saw those fish rise would have gotten excited and maybe wanted to fish dry flies because it's very visible and fun. It's easy on a pond. You just got to be able to cast. It gets to be a different deal. Dry fly fishing is not easy on a river.
I've learned.
Because you have to control the drift of the fly. And if you've been around fishing and you've seen these guys rolling their line over on the stream, that's called mending. And all they're doing is trying to get their line, because it's bigger, has more surface area, they're trying to get their line to not drag their fly. Okay. And they're putting it upstream or straight across so they can get a good drift with the dry fly.
And on the river, that's the most important thing.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the similarities and the differences between the ponds, lakes, and the rivers. I guess still waters and moving waters. What you got for
Before we go there, though, just a good thing to think about with that line control or mending your line. It's just all about making your fly float at the speed of the current. So think of throwing your fly out in the river without line. It would float perfectly. But you add the line, it gets stopped, it gets dragged, it pulls. And if the fish are out there eating real bugs and the flies are coming down about 2 miles an hour, and here comes your fly looking like a water ski, it's just not real, so they don't eat it.
Okay.
So line control is critical, and that's the difference between river fishing and still water. Still water, you don't have the
line control, guys. We're going to be talking about line control quite a minute. Sorry to cut you off, Todd, but that's going to be a key thing in a lot of things, because we're working on some line control, on some other things, whole different subject. Go ahead, Todd. Sorry.
But anyhow, I think that's one of the most important things in fly fishing in the river and moving water, is learning how, and there's different things we do to control our line. One style is called short line, or high sticking is a new groovy term, I think, where you just lift up your rod, and if the cast is short enough, you can pick up most of your fly line off the water, so that your fly, or your indicator if you're fishing, floats at the speed of the current. Mike was talking about the roll, that's a longer line. And all those are really important to practice and get good at. Because I personally, I don't know if Mike thinks this way, but I think it's the most important thing to do to be successful, more so than one fly bag.
Is to know the drift.
Get a good drift, a natural drift.
A natural drift.
If you're fishing the nymph and the dry fly, getting a natural drift, I think is the most important.
We'll come back to that and touch, unless you got something on.
No, I was just going to say, in a later episode, we can actually go down to the river and demonstrate this stuff to you guys.
Okay, yeah. I definitely got that in mind, and we'll talk about that, when we're kind of done a little bit. But
when you're getting started, and you probably experienced this, so long since I started, I can't remember. But the easiest ways to get started before you learn line control, fly selection, that kind of stuff, is on still water with a dry fly or indicator nymph rig, because the water's not moving.
Much easier.
If you're just starting in a river and you're learning how to control the drift and get a good grip, the best thing to use is a streamer, because you're dictating it. You'll cast that thing out, and yeah, the current will catch your line, but you can start stripping it.
Which swims you.
Just bringing it back in shortly, and you don't have to worry as much about line control. You could learn basic casting and be able to cast 25 feet. We could bring you to this pond, or we could take you to the river, and on the pond, if the fish were coming up, you can cast something, or we can show you how to set up a real easy nymph rig and cast something, or we can take you to the stream and you can just throw it as far as you can throw it and swim it back here.
Swim it, which is so cool. The other nice thing,
it's not that hard.
The other nice thing about streamer fishing and the swim and the lure, and we can get into this later too, is you feel the bloody strike.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
you feel it because
awesome.
they're chasing it and they smash it and you feel it, which is what you're used to if you're using a lure.
Yeah.
So it's the same.
Well, and streamer in a river is no different than you taking that Zebco and throwing out a Meps and cranking it in. This is, you take your streamer, you throw it out, and you bring it in.
Okay.
It's fly fishing's version of lure fishing.
Conventional
tackle. But to finish that thought about you feel a strike with the streamer. The other thing to know with nymph fishing in a river, you don't feel the strike. That's why we put this goofy little thing up on the line and weighs 1 foot farther up the line than the depth of water. We call it a strike indicator in the fly fishing sport. Strike indicator. It's a bobber.
Might think of a bobber.
We like dry fly fishing because we like topwater fishing.
We see it. It stimulates.
We see the take.
It stimulates.
You also don't feel it, but you see it. This nymph rig Mike talks about in a pond, which is really incredibly effective, is you do have a little indicator, and you cast it out, and you don't feel the strike when they're eating a little bitty midge under the surface, but you see that little take.
So now, how with the spin rod, I would expect you would be able to get more deeper in a pond. How would you fish deep with the fly rod? Because I think, to me, one of the biggest disadvantages that I see, maybe I have not learned yet, is how would you be able to get a streamer like this maybe 20 feet down? Is that possible with the fly rod?
You can do it a couple of ways. 20 feet is deep. 20 feet would be deep with your lure. Most of those lures will go down 6 or 8 feet, depending on what it is. If you fish a big, heavy jig, that's the way with the spinning rod to get it deepest, because it's just a heavy weight. So until you start retrieving, it'll keep sinking. A lot of those lures have a certain depth they'll stop sinking at, and then you bring it.
Like the rattle traps and stuff. Okay.
We can fish 20 feet of water and if you're going to really do that, the best way to start is going with a sinking line. And there are sinking lines that'll sink up to 7 or 8 inches per second. So you cast it out there and you count it down. But the sinking line, in most cases we use a line that floats. When we're fishing something like this, we'll use a sinking line, and it will go down as long as you want it. And then because the line's going down the same depth as the fly, it doesn't come up as quick as a lure. Because the line's coming back, it will stay deep longer, and it's actually really effective.
So it is definitely doable, possible to fish below, a 10, 5, 15 surface, because a lot of the rivers that you fish, I wouldn't expect to be deeper than 5 or 6 feet.
True,
right? And I could see be able to get down there because you have a 9-foot leader. So after 9 feet, you're kind of limited to in between, I would guess, that 9 to 12 foot.
Well, and if you don't have a sinking line, and you have a streamer. You could put a little split shot on. I like to put it on the head of right on the eye of the fly.
A lot of those streamers are weighted.
And then you got a cone head, and that's weighted, and that gets you down. This pond, I've measured it at every depth, and the deepest spot is 8 feet deep.
Yeah.
So most of it's 6 feet. And so we can easily, even with a floating ponds like these, we can fish with a floating line easily.
Okay, guys, now that's another thing, guys, that we are definitely going to break down again. Today's just to get to know them, just kind of chit-chatting, going over a lot of kind of stuff. And I know we're going over a lot, but again, we'll definitely be breaking this down. Sinking line, floating line, 5-weight, 8-weight. You know, this rod right here, this is one that I'm working with right now, guys. They are helping me out kind of with my casting. I'm getting a little sloppy, but this is my 8-weight, and it's a little bit heavier. This is one that I set up and put my 5-weight on, and noticed I wasn't casting worth the shit with it. And then I went ahead and picked this one out, which is an 8-weight reel. Bought a different 8-weight line for it. Came up here, was working with Mike, and he gave me this one, and it's made a big, tremendous difference. And that's the kind of stuff that we're going to start preparing you guys for, is how to know how to set up this rod with this reel, with this line, based on what you guys are going to be fishing for. If you're a pan fisherman and you're going in smaller creeks and stuff like that, maybe a 7-weight shorter rod might be the way to go for you, because you're not fishing very big fish. If you're going for trout, 5-weight all day, I would say. If you're going maybe for something bigger, carp, I'm trying to go for carp on this, 8-weight. But you definitely got to understand the differences on the setup, guys. Start understanding the fly setups, and I want to start breaking that down for you guys. So I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to kind of generally go over, maybe some of the places you guys gone and some stories you guys want to share before we kind of bring it to an end today, and I let you guys get back to the Rowdy Trout Ranch.
One of the things is that makes fishing so wonderful is you can do it. You got people often say to me, "Where's my favorite place?" And it's where I am. It's my favorite place because I get to fish. I mean, I fished. When I lived in Denver, I used to fish the South Platte in that mucky, awful water for carp and occasionally a smallmouth bass, occasionally a bluegill. It's where I was, and it was my favorite spot. Mike has traveled all over the world. I've been fortunate to do some of that too. If you're in Costa Rica, go fishing. But if you're in Indiana, go fishing. If you're in Kansas, you can do it all. And you can do it with a fly rod, as we sort of alluded to earlier. It's just go fishing. Go fishing anywhere you can.
Mike?
Well, off of what Todd said, I was sales rep, sales manager for Orvis for many years. And
48.
I sold this stuff in pretty much every state there is. There is great trout fishing in Arkansas. There is great trout fishing in Michigan. There's very good trout fishing in Maine. I mean, you name
Tennessee.
There is trout fishing in Iowa. Tremendous trout fishing.
Little bitty creeks, but really cool.
Yeah, so you can do it pretty much anywhere, and I've had a chance to fish most of those places. Texas is a big fly fishing state.
No shit.
Yeah.
I would think Texas is a big bass
Well,
spot.
but you fish bass with a fly rod, and all the saltwater, the redfish stuff down there is huge. In the Gulf.
On the Gulf, okay.
But they also have a couple tailwaters where they have trout, and they also have a lot of loopy bass in the river.
Which are great.
Yeah, and so it's just a sport you can pretty much do anywhere.
One of my favorite trips, you were asking favorites, I'm not the favorites.
Yeah.
But I did a 10-day trip down in Texas with a little belly boat, and friends were in a canoe doing all that Guadalupe bass stuff. It was so much fun, and we did catch an occasional trout. But it was mainly just fishing. Just fishing. You're trying to figure out what they're eating. They're called catfish down there. Popper. I was throwing poppers for bass on the lily beds, and I could see this weird mouth come up. I brought it in as a catfish this big. On a river.
No
Slow
shit.
meandering. But
Hey,
still,
hey, catfish on the fly rod. When you ever gonna hear that one? I have seen my buddy catch. I have seen my buddy catch catfish on a Joe fly. That has been the strangest catfish catch I've seen so far. My buddy Tyler caught one like that. His last cast, he was getting skunked, and he was like, "One more rocket, okay, go over there." Oh, I got one. It was a little grumpy catfish. I was like, "Holy cow!" I was not expecting that. So I don't know. I think that's pretty good for today. Or,
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for coming up.
Next time, guys, I am going to definitely try to bring you guys at least once a month, if not more. Next episode, I definitely, again, want to start breaking down the differences. I think, I don't know, if you guys, I'll definitely let you guys kind of help me out there. I think one of the biggest things that people need to understand is how to combine different stuff. That's one thing that I didn't understand. And I think that's one of the first things that people should understand is how to put together, how to combine, what they should be looking for if they're going to barely get into it, and what fly rod they should be looking
And
for.
no one better
like
than
that.
Mike. I mean, he knows the rod building business better than anybody, and knows there's some simple. We'll get into this next time. There's some simple ways to do that.
Exactly,
To
and
keep it from being confusing.
that's exactly what I want to do.
But if
I
you
want
want
to keep
more
it
technical
simple.
because there's also different flexes, right? You can have a tip flex rod, you can have a mid flex rod, you can have a full flex rod. We'll get into it.
Okay, and I think that's what we're gonna go over next time, guys. Is definitely how to build your fly rod. So definitely drop me some comments on other things that you guys want to be, that you guys want to see. Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys also do fly tying?
Two.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
We might touch a little bit on that too, guys.
Sure.
So who knows? This podcast should be excellent, and I'm not 100% sure, but my buddy Tyler, I think he's been up here once. I think we did bring him up here for his birthday. He might have another lady that might be possibly guiding and interested maybe in doing it with us as well. So
Okay.
I gotta talk to him too.
All right.
So about that. So thank you guys for your
Thank you,
time. I'll
Rocky.
let you guys
Thanks,
get back
Rocky.
to
Thank you,
it.
Bucky.
And until next time, guys, always remember to smile and laugh. Deuces.
All right, that was great.
Thank you.
Oh,